It says we're live.
Mm-hmm. And we believe it. Okay. If you would like to keep the air conditioner on, damn.
This weekend, the heat.
Yeah.
Last weekend, the air conditioning. It's Texas.
Now, last weekend was the heater.
It was 100 degrees on Sunday.
Oh, that was 2 weeks ago. Never mind.
Keep up. It's a yo-yo.
Yeah, it's Texas. If you like coffee, and after this weekend, we all like coffee. Caffeine is next to godliness. King Harvest Brew Coffees. Tell them you heard about it from us.
You mean caffeine is next to consciousness?
Not necessarily.
Well, y'all drank all my geisha.
It was good coffee.
It was very generous of you to put out the really nice coffee for the con.
tinyurl.com, Among the Leaves Tees, all your smart ass t-shirt. I was a very poor guest this weekend because I didn't show up very often.
Yeah.
My happy butt was face down most of the time.
So the Among the Leaves tees, if it's still up, there is a Fool's Con t-shirt. So even if you weren't able to attend, you can commemorate
not being here.
That they might have turned the falls on. All weekend, people were wanting to read the back of my shirt.
Yeah.
Because I wore on Friday, I wore last year's t-shirt, which has funny stuff on the back. And Saturday, I wore this year's t-shirt, which has funny stuff on the back. And people kept stopping me and wanting to read the back of my shirt.
Yeah.
Don't lie, they were looking at your butt.
Yeah.
No, it was like move the hair out of the way so you can read.
Well, everybody wants an AAR, so I will say I turned the key in yesterday, and many thanks to those that helped clean up and those that brought food on Friday night. And they will be more than happy to have us back next year.
Good.
However, we are probably going to have to raise the price slightly for next year.
This is not a surprise.
I mean, cost of business is going up everywhere.
Yeah,
yep.
Not a surprise.
And you cannot lose money on this indefinitely.
No.
So we want to support you. So I, for one, have absolutely no issues with making sure that you don't wind up holding the bag after a con.
I'll just be happy to break even.
Yeah.
I did break even thanks to somebody contributing some extra this year. So, but we were down in people, but I think good group of folks.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody seems to like the Shrine Center because it's big enough that people could go off into their separate groups.
Also, it's got good noise. Good noise abatement.
Yeah.
But we've got to pick up a sound system so we can plug in on endless repeat the Alabama Temple of the Shrine from
Ray Stevens. We did introduce Ray Stevens to one attendee. She had never heard him before. And we promptly had to play for her Mississippi Squirrel Revival, which is my favorite of the Ray Stevens. And she laughed.
But I think tech support does not approve.
Tech support.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
But I think everybody was happy with the food that we got from Orchard.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, no, they do a good job.
Yeah.
They have catered for FoolsCon every time you've had it, right?
Yeah. Yep. They know us pretty well at this point.
And I've got to admit, he did cut me a break this year on prices too.
Oh, that's given how many eggs were involved in the breakfasts. That was very nice of him.
You're a long-standing customer there, Jim.
But I think everybody made it home in one piece.
Sure looks that way.
Haven't heard anything different yet.
Yeah. I know a couple of people had to be warned about possible oil leaks on their cars.
Really?
Yeah, from being parked at the house.
Oh, dear.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
But those people were let know.
Yeah. And
sadly, after the fact.
Yeah. Ted and Laura took off as early as they could get out of here on Monday and wound up driving straight through back.
Oof.
Because of all the flooding in Kentucky and Tennessee.
Yeah.
There
was no place to stop. Yeah.
Right. They wound up stopping in Texarkana on the way out here. So they decided they would just go, I think.
Oh, there's Ted right there.
Oh, good. Ted can
drove straight through yesterday flooding. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I drank more tea this time.
Yeah.
I don't see Reagan need to thank her for bringing the tea because I drank
Yeah.
more tea this
Now,
time.
that was a
Well, she's in
spectacular
there.
layout on
Is
the
she?
table. Yeah, she did.
No, she is.
That was
uh,
a really neat spread.
Yeah, the tea was great. I drank more of your tea.
Oh, Reagan, send me a PM on Facebook with the name of that place you said to go look for shirts, because you told me and I put it in my memory, and well, my memory is no longer what it was.
It
Things
dribbled
fall
out the other ear.
Yeah.
Well, this is why I write things down when people tell me. I was writing down the names of movies and books.
Teespring?
All
No.
no, you were talking about Hawaiian shirts, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
But
But you told
Sorry,
me about-
sorry, Doug. Jesse says, "Wait, Sanford wants someone to tell him where to go." Grin.
hey, they've always done it. Why should I change?
And Jesse brought multiple toys again this year.
yes,
Wee.
that was fun.
Although
Watching Ian turn into a little boy with all the tops out
Yeah.
on the dance floor.
Jesse bought little noisemaker tops, and I was seeing how many he had going at the same time. And the ladies told me I should knock that off.
Yeah.
But that was a weird sound. I was like, what the heck is that
Yeah.
noise?
Well, I like the little crossbows.
Ted said the Mississippi-Tennessee border, Mississippi was flooding 10 miles out of its banks on either side.
Oof.
That's the Mississippi when it gets mad.
Oh yeah. And hey, I mean, it sucks for the farmers now, but it'll lay down a nice
Oh,
layer
yeah.
of silt, and it'll
Yeah.
be their fields will be happy afterwards.
That's some
Yeah, but the idiots will once again claim flood damage and then go back and build a freaking house on the other side of the levee, just like they've done the last 10 times it's flooded.
Those should be agricultural fields, not houses.
Yeah.
I meant the agricultural fields with a nice layer of silt on them.
Yeah.
You can't plant in a house.
Well, there was
Yeah.
the city of Kentucky about 10 years ago got the 100-year flood.
twice in a row.
Yeah.
Twice in a row, because that's what we did.
Yeah. Well, and it was Licking on the Licking River. I can't remember the name of the little town that went under. But the federal government came in,
Yeah.
we're going to help you with this. And the federal government offered to relocate all of them.
Yeah.
And they all said, no, we lived here before. We are going to stay right here. And I'm sitting here going, they should never get any more help. They
Yep.
know it's going to flood.
Club, I'm a sub.
Yep. And they do every time. Except
And they
this time,
stay.
I think it may be a little different.
That time, all the TV stations and all the commentators were gushing, oh, they're so brave and so noble to stay where they
Now they've got gills.
Yeah, they're freaking stupid.
freaking stupid.
Dagamore says a lot of the bridges in LA will slip underwater if the big muddy gets too high, like 3 feet. Yeah. Yeah. Having worked out of LA, yes, sir, you are correct. Oh, by the way, LA had, San Diego and LA had a 5.2, 5.6 earthquake day before yesterday.
I think I heard something
Yeah.
about it, but there wasn't a lot of buzz.
San Andreas is an active fault.
Yeah. The reporting from a friend of mine in San Diego was, yep, we got shook.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's still in one piece.
I keep hoping for California to get a 12.7
Yeah.
Richter earthquake.
I went through Loma Prieta. No, I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah,
Because there is a big difference between S wave and P wave earthquakes. Big difference.
yes, but if we get that big a quake,
Well,
then
Then-
California will no longer be part of the United States.
Yeah.
And
yeah, then Arizona will have beachfront property,
yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
and California will no longer get Colorado River water.
Nor have any need for it.
Yeah, Richard, the YouTube clip is from San Diego Zoo about the elephants circling up around the young ones.
Oh, that's where that's from.
Yeah.
I saw it. I just wasn't sure where it had been taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of neat to watch them go into protective mode.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't know what's going on, but we're gonna get ready.
Eric said the only family members that reacted were the dog and the cat,
Mm-hmm.
and said
Yeah.
they just, okay, it's another earthquake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When we get high winds here, the cats, Gidget really doesn't, but Toast will get nervous and get clingy.
Yeah.
And she doesn't necessarily want to be on me, but she'll like come check on me. But there's something
Make sure
about
it's still
the
there.
there's something about the harmonics of the wind in our house, so it'll shriek
Yeah.
if it hits at just the right angle. and that sets the cats off.
she
And I
comes
don't
up-
blame them.
And she comes over to ask us to turn it off.
Yeah.
There was one of those tops I was playing with sounds a lot like a 60mm mortar coming in.
Yeah.
And it was really freaking some folks out.
Mm-hmm. Asshole. And Kermit says, "What's the over under on Momo or Long Valley going off again?" I don't know. It's
What-
high.
What I'm more interested in is what the over under on New Madrid going off again.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, Brian, y'all drank over a pound of geisha this weekend.
There's
So
a lot of folks drinking. There was a lot of coffee drinkers there.
Yeah.
Greg on here gave me a bag of Uganda, and I've been going through that one.
Yeah.
Got some lovely Uganda, strong, bold Uganda. I've been going through that. Like,
yeah, and thank you for the coffee cup, by the way. That was a neat little present. For those that are aware of my back issues, I should have the final surgery consult on Friday. Has now marched through the VA for the third time. And the interesting part is, in talking to one of the supervisors this morning, the VA has been directed, and I can understand this, to do as much as possible in-house to cut outside costs. However, there's no way in hell I'm going to drive 2 hours for a consult and then 2 hours back, and then drive 2 hours for surgery and 2 hours back.
not
No.
with a broken back.
No, just fucking no. Yeah, I was pretty beat down by the time noon Sunday rolled around, but made it through the weekend. It was great to see everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, as far as I know, everybody had fun.
I
If they
did.
didn't, it was their fault.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Well, and the nice thing is, once again, the groups were mixing all the time.
Mhm.
So people weren't getting off in the corner by themselves and just sitting and staring at the walls.
Unless they wanted to.
Huh?
Unless they wanted to.
And I only saw that once, and that was because he was working.
Well, I saw somebody go into the furthest corner they could and with somebody else, and they sat and had a very long discussion.
Yeah.
I won't mention any names, but he's wearing a red shirt today
Yes.
and is on camera.
Yes.
Yeah, Greg.
And the other one's in the comments.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they're going to do with me. It's a shear fracture, so I don't know which way they're going to fix it. Volcanoes more than earthquakes. Having been up close and personal with Etna and the quakes in Iceland, or the volcanoes in Iceland, which took away my favorite friggin' spot.
I'm not sure I'm altogether comfortable with volcanoes. There tend to be long-term effects of volcanoes.
Yeah.
That, depending on the size, can be felt around the world. Earthquakes, it's an earthquake.
Yeah, we had that discussion at one point this weekend.
Well, of course, we discussed everything this weekend.
Oh God,
You want?
some of the technical discussions.
Is anybody seeing
Spam.
a sharp rise in these?
Yes, every day, 4 to 6 times a day.
I'm getting them 12 to 14 times a day.
Yeah.
I have not. All I've been getting are recruiter calls because I put my resume out on a bunch of job boards recently. So
She gets, oh, we have a job in India. All you have to do is relocate. We pay you
no, they're
25 rupees an hour.
Yeah.
They're not for jobs in India, but they are Indian recruiters for jobs in places that I no longer live at wages that are not living wages.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Speaking of,
Yeah, Padre, that's cheating. He says, I get some of those. I tend to answer in Indonesian. That probably gets them hanging up real quick.
German works too.
Yeah.
for those of you who
that's
don't,
fucking toll road tax bullshit. Yeah.
what?
The other one is now toll road taxes,
Oh
What
yeah,
toll
that's
road
that's
taxes?
the scam that's been
Yeah.
going
Oh.
around a lot.
but that's only on text.
Yeah, that's a text thing.
Speaking of, anybody that knows Nikki Kenyon, she's job hunting. So if you have a financial intelligence job or know somebody who does, Nikki's looking.
Yeah. That's sad. She could always go back to her previous employer, but I'm not sure she wants to. So anyway,
No,
if you know somebody that could use somebody
you
like
want to put
Mickey,
eggs and beans on the table, she's going to need to go somewhere.
Well, the only thing about it is previous employers are like exes. There's a reason why they're previous employers.
well, she worked for the government, so
Like I said,
Well,
It's a different administration, though.
Nancy says, "Oh, German, the language of love." Yeah, if you like being what you think is cussed out, yes, German is the language of love.
well, the nice thing about German is you can say sweet things to your dog, and they will run away and hide and think they're in trouble.
there was a short YouTube clip some time ago with this guy pronouncing words
Yeah.
in various
Yes.
languages. It was like French, Italian, Spanish, and German.
German is a very angry language.
It's very angry language.
Very angry or very sick, depending on which word it was.
Cedar, ich liebe dich.
Always tell your loved ones you love them, but not in German. Or do it in German, so they're just scared a little bit.
Well, it depends. Are you in a dom-sub relationship? It might work better in German.
So
Not going there.
Dreadnought Industries showed up. It's an AJ.
Hey,
Dreadnought Industries showed up.
Yeah, say that 3 times.
Some of our favorite people, and brought
Toys.
very cool but dumb guns.
Yeah.
that's what that display was.
Part 1.
Yeah,
Oh,
cool
thank you,
but
thank you.
dumb. And it's amazing how much dumb crap was invented trying to get around Colton Smith and Wesson patents. And Alex had most of them.
Damn.
Oh, nice. Well done,
Thank
AJ.
you.
I know you've got lots of Zippos, but you stopped carrying them.
Well
AJ
done,
just brought this in
AJ.
and handed it to me. That is fantastic, AJ. Thank you very much.
Everybody needs a Zippo.
Yeah.
Well done, AJ.
Well, I carried Zippos for so many years.
I finally got to the point where I was reacting to the fluid when it got on my skin.
Well, if you put jet fuel in it, it makes it a little easier.
Jet fuel, gasoline,
Yeah.
kerosene. You could.
I mean, that's kind of predicated on having a source of jet fuel.
Well, the nice thing is they will light on the flight deck in 40-mile-an-hour wind.
Well, Zippo's the original windproof lighter,
Yeah.
and they were serious about that.
Yeah, you just have to be careful when it's blowing 40 knots.
I used to be able to light my cigarette while going down the highway on a Harley.
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, they're when they say windproof, they're not kidding.
Yeah, Rick, I also have challenge coins. Yeah, Greg, they would leak a little bit, but what you learned to do was never overfill them. And back in the day, you know as well as I do, we weren't allowed to have butane lighters. So nobody carried Ronson lighters. Nobody carried Bics because at altitude, you get a flame about this high out of a Bic,
Interesting.
which made things real interesting when you're trying to light one here.
Now, how did you fill with jet fuel? Did you go up to the nozzle on the pump and leak a little in, or
We used to use jet fuel for an ashtray at
Yeah.
one point.
You've described that.
Yeah.
And it
Well-
makes perfectly good sense, but it is also slightly alarming to think about.
the reason I'm asking is because when I used gasoline,
Yeah.
when I was in the Army, which is what I usually used in the
Yeah.
Army, I couldn't underfill it.
Yeah.
Because what you did was you unscrewed the gas cap on the Jeep and stuck your hand with the slug in it
Yeah.
into the gas tank. Then you
Yeah.
pulled it out and you put it back in the case.
Yeah, Wayne, I think anybody that's ever carried a Zippo has gotten a chemical burn on your thigh.
Until you learn when to stop.
Or a chemical burn on the nipple, which is even worse.
Oh,
Ah.
ow. Yeah,
Shirt
Dagamore,
pockets.
those are out there, but they would be slightly expensive.
In other news, speaking of pockets, Halliburton in the 70s sent out I think it was 70s sent out a warning for their welders to stop carrying the big disposable lighters.
Yeah,
And-
yeah,
In the warning, it said, we'll go off with the power of a quarter stick of dynamite.
Yeah.
And my father was dumb enough to leave that laying around the office where Chris and I found it. Experiments were conducted.
Yeah. And
Um,
Did it?
the purple magnesium ribbon. If you take the purple magnesium ribbon and put duct tape 2 Bics to it, light it, and throw it, it
go boom.
probably half a stick of dynamite there. I was impressed. The natives, not so much.
Okay, now we
Your
need
parents.
to redo that experiment.
The natives I was throwing them at, not so much.
We need to redo that experiment here in the U.S. Maybe near a lawyer named Spurgeon's office.
Actually, I was going for baboons, and I just I was using the slingshot, so I overshot.
Mm-hmm.
I was didn't get the baboons, but the whole bunch of Ebos let me know what for, how the cow ate the cabbage.
Yeah. Oh,
I am so tired.
yeah. Well, I think everybody's tired from this weekend.
Yeah.
AJ was smart. He didn't show up Sunday.
I didn't show up Saturday. Friday, I pushed walking around on the prosthetics so far. I ended up having to take some of the stronger pain meds when I got home.
Sorry.
That let me wiped out through Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I really don't feel like doing that again.
Yeah.
So I stayed home Sunday.
No, that's just as well. I mean, it's good to see people in company, but not if you're hurting yourself.
Well, Tiff, at least you were able to set up for a little bit. She said she has to retreat to the couch. Hey, we're glad that you're home and you're out of ICU and you're out of rehab. That's the good news.
I was supposed to meet the gang for Italian because I love Italian food. And I told Jim I'd be there for Italian.
Yep.
I went home, picked up Chewy, put him in my lap, sat in a recliner, and
It was the next morning.
blinked and it was midnight. It's like, shit. Oh, well.
Well, we were not actually supposed to have all of our group together because apparently we got there before the other group
We
did.
did. There was nobody in that upper room when we showed
So
up.
they seated us at the table
Mhm.
that was actually scheduled for the other party. So they had them all crammed up in the corner.
And that was a birthday party.
Yeah. Oopsie. Yeah, anemic. Yeah, yes. Lightheaded is not unusual. Salmon sashimi. That's not bad either.
Well, if I had to eat sashimi, salmon would be the better. Or tuna.
You know, I'm at the terrible age where the things my parents use as punishment sound really good right now. And I'm not talking about spanking.
Go to your room.
Go to your room. Take a nap.
Take a nap. Okay.
You can't go out this weekend.
Darn.
You must stay home.
You're grounded.
You're grounded. No.
You can keep the damn liver, Tiff. I don't do liver. I will not do liver and onions. I ate enough of that as a child to never want to go back there again.
I know what liver does. I know what the function of liver is.
Yeah.
I will never eat liver onions.
I never ate liver as a child. My mother tried several times, but she found out that there was no point in buying liver because the only one in the house that would eat it was her.
Yeah.
And everybody raged about it, not in a good way.
Speaking of raging,
Hagamore just says, just think all the things you hated as a kid, spanking, naps, and being left alone are now a good weekend.
damn fine weekend.
And expensive.
Speaking of setting things on fire, my exhausted butt dashed off a post this morning regarding
Post.
my exhausted butt dashed off a post this morning, and apparently the Ivory Tower crowd is
Again?
clutching their pearls.
Oh, for
So
fuck's
the
sake.
Ivory Tower crowd is self-identifying.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. I did. I get stupid sometimes and trying to stay awake. I turned on news radio, and they were interviewing some bimbette at a college, some college rally,
Yeah.
and she was describing, apparently she was wearing a black and white kafaya, and describing how great Islam was for the fair sex.
What?
And yeah, my squirrels went off.
Why? Okay. I can understand hating America. But why do you have to pick the worst examples of everything that you say you hate?
Yeah.
To back.
So I exhausted, but apparently I get really snarky when I'm tired.
Yeah.
Because I've been told the footnotes are terrible.
Footnotes were pretty awesome.
I thought they were wonderful.
Rick makes a good point. Western liberated, parentheses, gay females agitating for Hamas just shows how programmed they are. Yep.
Woo!
The reality is, if you're LGBT over there, you're dead. You know, they will happily throw
Fly,
your
my
ass.
little fairy, fly.
Yeah,
Well, you can live as an LGBT in those lands.
Yeah.
Provided nobody knows about it, including everybody else you know.
well, you know, I've said it before. You know, they really ought to just ship them over there.
Yeah.
And then they're out of our hair in more ways than one. Yeah, or ship them to Africa. The one that had me cracking up was the laugh melting down when El Salvador's president said he's not sending the guy back to Maryland because this guy is a Salvadorian citizen.
Uh-huh.
And he's not about to let him go.
Sovereign nations get to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but federal courts cannot order the president to invade a sovereign nation for the purpose of kidnapping one of its citizens.
Yeah. Who was
I mean-
already identified as being MS-13.
He
2
can
years ago.
order that, but it would be unwise.
Well,
Yeah.
the court can't. The court has no legal standing to
Yeah.
order the president to conduct an invasion.
And for
That
that matter,
hasn't stopped most of them anyway.
My point.
for that
Well,
matter,
they
I'm
are
correct.
losing in court, though.
I hope they don't lose once it gets to the Supreme Court, or else we're in trouble.
Yeah, Judge Budhurt is all sorts of mad about it. Sucks to be him.
No.
What are you doing?
Apparently,
Brokeback Mountain was wrong. Why are you doing your buddy when you have 1,000 sheep around?
I've seen the video.
Yeah.
Not Brokeback Mountain. The thermal video
The
of
thermal of the donkey. Yeah.
donkey or goat. At that distance, they all show up same heat.
Yeah.
But I started out with saying the Palestinians being Palestinian, and apparently that set a whole bunch of jimmies to rustling.
Yeah.
People don't realize the Palestinians, when they got kicked out of, when they lost one of the wars,
Yeah.
they went to Jordan, fomented a revolution, tried to assassinate the king of Jordan twice.
Yeah.
And pissed off they formed enclaves. They turned
Yeah.
Jordanian towns into enclaves where Jordanians law was not allowed to be, to the point that the Jordanian army and air force said, "Boss, we got this."
Yep.
And proceeded to kick wholesale butt.
And which is why they all went right back to the West Bank.
No,
No.
they went to Lebanon.
Oh, that's right.
And
Then
Went
they
into a shithole.
Yeah, and they took a majority Arab Christian Beirut that was vibrant
Yes.
and glorious.
The
and
Paris of the
peaceful.
Middle East.
That I personally better than Paris. It
Yeah.
was
Didn't have the French in there.
it had French influences. It was vibrant and welcoming and
Yeah.
warm, and they turned it into a festering cesspit.
Yep.
Palestinians.
On the other hand, on the plus side from Hamas doing that to Beirut, there are a lot of good Lebanese restaurants here in the States.
That
Yeah.
point. That's a good point.
Yeah. Then the reason it was nicer than Paris is you didn't have the Parisian French to, look down their nose at you.
The French are not all bad. Same
Some
cannot
of
be
them are
said
bad.
about Parisians.
The southern French are absolutely wonderful
Yeah.
folks, in Marseille and the southern coast,
Yeah.
or the south of France. The French are absolutely lovely
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah, the farther
Well-
you get from Paris, the better they are.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Well,
it's bad when even the Southern Frenchmen don't like the Parisian French.
Well, and the Parisians get pissed,
Yeah.
because they had this poll on who has the sexiest French accent,
Yeah.
and it was the southern accent.
Yeah.
The Parisians got pissed.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the Parisians who say, "Oh, you can't use the word hamburger because
Yeah.
we need to do this French word that nobody can pronounce." including the French."
Hamburger.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
nice.
speak French with a Southern accent. So.
He speaks Louisiana French.
Fait
Nice.
ben, tu le fais de moi.
Your Honor, the
Always
state
when he
rests.
starts speaking French.
Your Honor, the state rests.
It's nice to listen to.
You realize that the French don't believe he speaks French.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Now Southern French do. The
Yeah.
Southern French love Louisiana accents.
I talk to him fine.
Yeah.
Never had a problem.
Well, that's the thing of it is the Southern French actually have a drawl.
Yeah.
And the Parisians think it's rustic. And
Oh.
apparently everybody else thinks it's va 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 boom.
Yeah. And Raptor is absolutely correct. The only Frenchies worse than that are the Quebecois.
Quebecois. Yeah.
Yes, and I used to live not too far
Yeah.
from the Quebecois who came down as tourists into my area all the time. My
Even
high
the
school
Canadians don't like them.
my high school French teacher was French Canadian. Her grandmother had taught her to speak French.
Yeah.
And so I was told that my accent was absolutely terrible by the Quebecois who came into the store where I was working, and I practiced my French on them.
Yeah. I would have told them to take your butt on down the road then.
I was very young and kind of wanted the job.
Well, what I found was interesting was flying with the French, which I did once in an Atlantique, was an interesting experience because they actually bring wine and cheese on the airplane and bread. So their only
Damn
requirement
civilized.
is one pilot has to remain sober to land.
Bugger.
And this is why he does not play basketball.
Nope, you're right. At least not while I'm exhausted.
So that was an interesting evolution, and I chose not to fly with him the second time.
We're going to have to change his name to Booger.
It's a can, not a telescope. It had caffeine in it. Apparently it doesn't anymore. Now it has a sad.
The good French speakers left for Louisiana because they got kicked out.
Of everywhere.
Yeah, the Acadians were kicked out of France. They were kicked out of Canada. The good navigators ended up in Louisiana. The bad navigators ended up in Texas.
Well,
I'm not saying you're wrong.
of course, what I always liked was if you're claimed to be original Creole French.
Yeah.
Well, that means that you're one of your female ancestors were all prostitutes who were kicked out of Paris.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine being such a bad prostitute that you're not even worthwhile in Paris?
New
Wouldn't
Royer
that mean
says,
that she had standards?
No.
living next door to the Yellowstone, if it goes, it'll be quick here. That's true, Nuke.
Yes. Unfortunately, when that one goes, it's gonna mess a whole lot of things up.
Steve says, reminds me of the pilot and the monkey co-pilot.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey, John, how goes it?
He remembers halfway through.
It's better than we do sometimes. Yeah. What's funny was a number of conversations this weekend where somebody would say something and go, and I can't remember, and I'm watching it. 6 other people take their phones out and going, yeah. And
What?
sometimes you even got the same answer between 2 people.
What I always thought was funny is when the number of times this weekend where somebody started to say something and you could see the look across their eyes and they changed what they were saying.
Yeah.
Because, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to talk about that yet.
Yeah.
Let me do the math real quick. Nope.
Yeah.
Mentally checking the calendar.
No.
Statute of limitations.
And John gave me a point paper for some high level science, and I'm sitting there reading that, and I'm going,
He was telling me about that.
this is very, very, very interesting,
Mhm.
but. And apparently he told the guy that wrote the paper what my butts were about. So now the guy's communicating with me directly.
About 3 feet off the ground.
And apparently he has to now go back and think.
My cousin, who I don't know terribly well, we didn't grow up together, and he's actually about 10 years younger than I am, was messaging me quantum physics equations this morning on Facebook, and I'm like, Travis, I tapped out after calculus. Why are you doing this to me at coffee o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, Jesse, that's a good point. Everyone at the convention knew what was being referenced, even when none of us could remember it. Yes.
Steve Sky from Waterbed and Africa Adventures sounded like the pilot wasn't quite sober. Bob the Not Russian was never sober.
It might not have been safe to fly with him if he was sober.
Yeah.
That my father pointed that out on multiple occasions.
Well, having known people who were very efficient as long as they were drunk.
Yeah.
And nice people.
Bob the Not Russian had the worst case of shakes when he was sober.
Yeah.
Dad didn't know if it was DTs or PTSD.
Yeah.
It's a horrible symptom of having too much blood in your alcohol stream.
Okay.
Oh,
See?
Jesse, someone asked me if I understood string theory, and I had to tell him, I'm afraid not. FRAYEDKNOT.
Oh,
Jesse,
oh.
I'm not fully awake. Really?
He's telling you to read between the lines.
Yeah.
I'm not fully awake. And you had to pull that? Seriously.
There's nothing wrong with that. Other than the fact that, you started out with string theory, which, that's the most bogus excuse to rip off the public for college places to play with math instead of doing science.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I do have a theoretical degree in physics. Richard says string theory. Let's cut to the chase.
Oh.
The problem
We're
is
doing these now, are we?
Jana also does string theory.
She does. She has a damn
Yes.
fine string theory.
It's very brilliant string therapy. However, it is not math string theory.
Yep.
It is cloth string theory.
Mhm.
And much more useful.
a brief description of clothing cloth techniques throughout the centuries for aspiring writers.
Yeah. And it's very well done. And if you want to spin Jana up, ask her about costuming.
Oh no, don't.
Not while we're here.
Yeah.
Do not do that during the live stream.
Yeah. Do it from a distance.
No, you come here and do it and just let us know we won't be here.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
We'll sit outside with drinks and chairs and look through the window.
Yeah.
And we'll watch the
Wait for-
explosion from safe,
Yeah.
minimum safe distance.
Yeah.
We better sit over at the store across the street. then.
Uh-huh.
Late one afternoon at the Warsaw Dyke. Yeah. That was 40 some odd years ago. Mad Magazine.
I used to love Mad Magazine. Then it went.
Yeah. Yeah. Jana does applied string theory. Yes. That is true.
Didn't they recently disprove string theory as far as the whole quantum physics thing? Or did I not hear that right? I don't track it real well because...
Well, there's a discussion. One side says it's been disproved. The other side said,
Of course.
not so fast.
The other side says we want to get paid to play with math.
Yes, well, there is that.
Well, that was part of the paper that I was looking at was gravitational versus string.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can't have gravity without magnetics.
Well, every time they come up with a problem in string physics, they say, well, we just have to postulate another dimension where this happens.
Yeah.
And every time I hear that, I say, and I postulate a dimension where people realize that string theorists are all frauds. And
Well, it's
They're
now
gonna go
it's
get
now
jobs.
up to 8 dimensions, I think.
11.
11.
What?
Yeah, 11 now.
Where the other 3 come
I
from?
don't know. Somebody's ass, I guess.
The same place the first 8 came from.
It's actually been 11 for a number of years now.
It's been a while since I played with it.
Like I said, I always postulate another universe where they find out that
Yeah.
the string theorists are all frauds and they make them get real jobs.
When
You
I,
had more naps than I have.
when they asked me that, I'd usually tell them, go talk to Dr. Dave. He's up to speed on that shit. Yeah, there are. Yeah. Yeah, Jana can.
Wax poetical.
Oh, yeah.
See, Ian, this is the way you're supposed to do it. You walk over and you put it in so you don't have to bend over and pick it up off the floor.
Yes, that requires me getting out of the chair, and I might
You had to get out of the chair.
might fall asleep halfway and auger in.
Yes, Reagan, you do a different version of string therapy.
Crochet, macaroni,
Yeah.
all words that, yes, those are words.
Yeah.
I
You
can, I can crochet, so I do string theory, but on a very limited
Yeah.
basis. I've never been able to learn how to knit.
Evelyn's in. She posted one this morning, just fantastic
Sure, good work.
crocheted.
Oh yeah, she does beautiful
Oh
work.
God, yes.
It's a thingy.
And my daughter does it, the paramedic,
Mm-hmm.
because she learned how to do it sitting in ambulances waiting
Yep.
for call out
It is a great thing to.
because she
is
was
a
bored.
fidget.
Yeah.
It's a great fidget, is what it is.
Yeah.
There we go. We just got to get Ian awake
No.
and teach him.
No,
Fidget with.
I
There have been a
don't.
lot of famous military men that could knit over the
Yeah.
years. It was kind of a Scotch thing.
I do not need another
Fidget?
hobby.
The one that always
Fidget.
amazed me though was Rosie Greer and his cross stitching.
Again, with it's a fidget.
Yeah.
A lot of needlework and
But
But
Rosie,
the size of his friggin' hands.
he's a friggin' monster.
Yeah.
probably helped him maintain dexterity in that case.
But how in the hell, with fingers as big as he had,
Really good eyesight.
the eyesight and being able to poke that, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're damn near a pixel apart.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what the answer to that is.
I'm innocent. They have no evidence. They can't bring in a case.
Yeah.
We're in Texas. We don't need proof.
Or like Larry painting miniatures, yes. Larry, well, one advantage Larry has is he does not drink coffee. Yes, he has pretty big fingers.
And how the hell can that man be creative with no coffee?
Yeah.
What eldritch mystery is this?
How the hell can it be functional without coffee?
Yeah, well, that too.
If you never build up a reliance on caffeine, you can function perfectly well without it.
No,
They're
I can't.
not human.
I can't function perfectly well
Oh,
with
no.
it. I certainly couldn't
Trust
make
me,
it without it.
caffeine is I need caffeine. I was getting together with my sister and she was saying, I'll bring some decaf. And I'm like, and I'll bring the Vietnamese instant coffee because I need the high test.
I'll
She
bring decaf.
Her heart goes funky if she does
Yeah.
caffeine.
That's
so.
her fault.
Eh,
That's on her.
Yeah. Well,
I got the good genes then.
It's like I always say to Mormons, no, I could never belong to your religion.
Yeah.
I cannot do some of the basic tenets.
yeah. I don't know. Dagamore says, I don't need caffeine. It just keeps me out of cuffs. Yeah, that works.
Coffee keeps other people unstimulated.
I remember years ago, and I had my Impala SS custom pinstripe by Mr. Magoo out in California. We'd set up a time to do it, and he called me and said, now remember, be here at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm shuddering because it's an hour drive from where I was based out of to where he was at the time in Redondo Beach. And I said, 6 a.m. And he says, yes. And do not bring any fucking coffee. And I went, He goes, you bring coffee, the deal's off.
Pinstriping.
Yeah.
Oh, pinstriping.
I got down there and he pinstriped the car freehand in less than an hour.
Thus, no caffeine.
No caffeine. He promptly finished the paintbrushes and said, now we're going in the house. Okay. And he hit the plunger on the coffee pot. And he said, it'll be up in 5 minutes. I'll be back.
4 minutes, 49 seconds.
Yeah. And he poured me a mug. It was probably 24 ounces. And he had one the same size.
So a medium.
And it was like, I need this so bad. I said, so this is how you paint cars? He goes, yep. He said, if I'm doing pinstriping, I cannot drink a cup of coffee beforehand.
That's understandable.
But he literally was freehanding it. And he was telling me about a guy down in Florida. Oh, what was his name? He's another famous one. Oh, this guy was so good. I've seen one of his cars. Ed something. But he did a 55 Chevy, or no, 57 Chevy Bel Air 210. And he pinstriped all of the trim on it, all the chrome.
Dagamore says Ed Roth.
Ed Roth, yes, thank you. Ed Roth did this 57 And until you got within 3 feet of it, you could not tell it was not a freaking piece of chrome in a car. It was all hand painted. Well, he could not drink coffee before he did it.
Yep.
But Bob Fitzhugh was the guy's real name, known as Mr. Magoo in the industry. And yeah, he was definitely the polar opposite, Ted. But I mean, the man was absolutely brilliant and just hilarious to get him talking, because he would tell stories about some of the cars he painted and some of the people he painted for, like Ed Roth,
Mm-hmm.
and how they came up with some of the designs. And he did some of the race cars for a number of years, a number of the West Coast teams. And he said one guy came in, had everything already laid out exactly how he wanted it. Said another team came in and said, "There's a car, do whatever the hell you want to."
I'd be the second team.
But
I'm paying him for his expertise.
Yeah.
Let me get my money's worth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But even in the 90s, his paint boards, where he daubed the paint, his pallets, were selling for $3,000 a piece.
Yeah.
Because I asked him, because there was a stack of plywood over in the corner of the garage
Yeah.
paint shop. I said, "What are those?" He said, "Money." It looks like a damn pallet. He said, "It
Smart
is."
man.
He says, "I signed that son of a bitch at $3,000.
Yep.
Son of a bitch. How much are you charging me? He looked at me and said, "Not as much as I should." But we had judged a couple of car shows together at that point, and so he kind of let me have a break. Thank God for small favors. But meticulous, oh my God, he was meticulous. I like having a heartbeat, so no Monsters, Celsius, or Red Bull.
I
Yeah,
had a white Monster once.
my daughter, they were on a stakeout support for a barricading suspect a few years ago. 2 ambulances sitting there. And she was battalion chief, but she was riding the ambulance because the medic had called in sick.
Mm-hmm.
There was an ambulance from another company next door to him, so they were parked side by side. And they'd been there like 4.5 hours. And she said the EMT from the other ambulance came over, knocked on the window, goes, she rolled it down. She says, "Can you come take a look at my medic? I think there's something wrong." The guy had done 3 Red Bulls in a row.
Ooh.
Oh,
He was friggin'
Suicidal.
vibrating.
suicidal.
He was tachycardic. Celeste said his heartbeat was over 140. And she had to give him an IV in the back of the ambulance to try to get him down far enough.
So this is a full-grown man.
Yeah.
3 Red Bulls, tachycardic.
Yep.
Are you listening, Liz?
Yes.
Just gonna throw that out there.
Rafter says, "I could see molecules." Yes.
I took a 5-hour energy once.
Yeah.
Which is a little bitty bottle.
Mhm.
It's
Yep.
supposed to 5 hours.
It's mostly vitamin B.
I took that. That day I cleaned took it in the early morning because I didn't want to fall asleep right about lunchtime, which I usually did.
Yeah.
Took it in the early. I cleaned all the shelves in the
Yeah.
stock room, inventoried all the stock,
Yeah.
cleaned all the benches.
Yeah.
Cleaned and re-racked all the tools.
Yep.
And when I left to go home, I had to physically restrain myself because I was hitting 90 in the car in a 55 zone.
I'm with
So-
you, Padre. Black coffee. None of that crap in it.
So, to recap, an adult male, probably north of 200 pounds.
Yep.
3 Red Bulls, tachycardic. Liz,
I'm down to 1 pot of 14 cups of coffee a day.
Sandra and I were just talking about the fact that he's no longer drinking coffee like he was.
Yeah.
Between the two of us, we go through a pot a day usually
Yeah.
now.
It
It
used,
used to be 2 pots, and he drank most of that.
Yeah.
It used to be before, when she first met me.
Yeah.
I did about 4 pots a day.
That's about right.
I mean,
He never drank water. It was just coffee all day, every day.
He's drinking water. He just strayed it through coffee beans.
Yeah.
yes.
I still can drink coffee at night and go to bed.
Me too.
Oh, no
And I
problem.
drink Cajun coffee, by the way. No, definitely not Star Schmucks. What's funny is we have a Starbucks and a local coffee shop that are across the street from each other down in Wichita Falls.
Mhm.
The line for Fred and Joe's is inevitably longer than the line for Starbucks.
That's because Fred and Joe's actually serve coffee and Starbucks doesn't.
Frank and Joe's, they actually get their coffee roasted at a roaster in Oak Cliff down in the Metro Mess. And one of the ladies that owns it drives down there in the morning, loads up the
Yeah.
bed of her truck, and comes back.
Yeah, Tiffany, take it easy on the sodas until you get a little bit better. And yeah, tea is diet anyway. If it's
It
you know,
depends on the diet. Yeah.
doesn't have sugar in it.
No, well, it depends on the tea.
What do you mean?
I
It depends on the tea.
have a tea called Sweet and Spicy that has what is it called? I think it's like African honeybush or something, but it's naturally very sweet.
It's got it's
It's
got
actually really
fructose in it.
nice. It doesn't have added sugars. It is literally the herb adds a sweetness. It's like a stevia type plant. The stevia is a leaf. It's
Yeah.
a plant. You can
Yeah.
grow it. And if you steep the leaves in water, it turns out sweet because it's got this.
Yeah.
Um,
It will
sweetness.
also
Yeah.
kill any animal that gets hold of it.
Stevia?
Well, that's the whole point of capsaicin and caffeine too. Is
Yeah.
they're pesticides.
The metallic aftertaste for me depends on which version. There's Rebbiana A and Rebbiana B, and one of the
Yeah.
two gives me the metallic aftertaste, the other one doesn't. So I have to be careful which stevia I'm using.
I'm careful with it too. I use pure cane.
What was the one that they came out with for the new Coke? That was the one that had the metallic taste to me.
Aspartame.
Aspartame.
Yeah.
Yeah, because so you have saccharin was the earliest
Yeah.
that they discovered that it has an intensely sweet.
Yeah.
You only need a teeny tiny fraction of it to have the same perceptual sweetness
Yeah.
as sugar. And that's actually true for a lot of the sweeteners that people use these days. Agave, monk fruit, stevia.
Yeah.
If you go 1-to-1 with sugar, they're the same amount of calories, but they're perceptually so sweet. You only
Yeah.
want them in teeny portions. So it doesn't add up.
Yeah.
I have tasted
The
all
caloric
of them, and they
intake.
all taste like crap.
Yeah.
They may be sweet, but it tastes like crap.
Greg, yes, the Steven Splenda is the best for
Yeah.
me anyway. And I'm at the point right now that I'm one of those snooty types that mixes my sweeteners. So for coffee, I have 1 packet of stevia or Splenda stevia, 1 packet of Splenda monk fruit.
I thought
Splenda
you
love
used
it.
Truvia.
Gone to the Splenda. It tastes better.
Well, what I want to know is what happened to the cyclamates that they decided because if you gave them 1,000 tons a day for a week, a rat would get sick.
Oh,
well,
that was,
there's
They
there's
moved out of
been
California and retested and found that they were fine.
yeah, I was going to say there's been a lot of controversy about the artificial sweeteners.
Yeah.
Because in some people they trip the same insulin receptors as sugar, so they don't actually help those people.
Yeah.
But that's not evidently all people, which is weird.
Yeah. Well, Dagamore, you're not the only one that puts a little bit of salt in coffee.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people do that to take out the bitterness.
Yeah, Dorothy and I, there's
Yeah.
a certain restaurant we go in and we're passing each other the salt because their coffee needs to be salted.
Yeah.
We went into that restaurant one morning, and I salted my coffee.
Yeah.
And I held it out, and Cedar just snatched it out of my hand and said, "If he's salting it, it's bad."
I didn't think it was that bad.
Um,
You
Not
were
s-
Navy. You don't have any
Wally,
taste buds.
Yes, the sugar alcohol in Splenda is
Yeah.
erythritol. Be very careful. There are multiple sugar alcohols.
Yeah.
If you have dogs, stay away from xylitol.
Yeah, and
Or
sugar,
that's it. Xylitol.
and
Xylitol will
sugar
kill a dog in a
alcohol-
heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sugar alcohols are interesting.
Yeah.
because of the reactions with the gut biome is why you will have the infamous Amazon review about the 5 pounds of sugar-free jelly beans? No,
Yeah.
gummy bears.
Gummy bears.
And that is what sugar alcohols will do, is they basically flush through the gut. Your body's trying to get them through you. They're not being absorbed at all. And anything that is the body is rushing through has an unfortunate effect on the other end.
So I've never had that effect.
And see, it's some people do and some people don't. And I also think it's if you have too much at once, you're more likely to have that.
I will
reaction.
say if you're diabetic, if you're type 2 diabetic, there's a xylitol called Ideal, and I noticed that when I was using Ideal, it enhanced insulin response.
Yeah. So
there was a study that came out about 3 years ago that said, hey, xylitol enhances insulin response.
Yeah.
So I was down to 4.2 A1C using xylitol, but I also have a little dog that snipes my coffee.
Yeah.
And xylitol will no shit kill a dog.
Yeah.
In a couple of sips. So we don't have xylitol in the house.
Yeah, Dagamore, that is a trick from Navy Marines, is salting the coffee.
Yeah.
It doesn't really take all that much.
No.
A few grains is really all it takes.
You got to understand how large the coffee makers are on Navy ships.
5 gallons.
Well, that's the small one.
Yeah.
The carriers, it was 100 cup. So more like 10 gallons.
Yeah.
And depending on which carrier, it bleeds 300 psi steam off the boilers. And even on the small boys, it's probably a 50 cup at a minimum, if not 100 cup, depending on the size of the galley. Even on a submarine, they're in the 50 cup range. And they usually have 2 of them going.
And you never, ever, ever start new coffee in both of them at the same time.
Oh, God, no. Yeah, Rick, have you ever seen a clean coffee maker on a Navy ship ever, or a submarine ever?
Or in a maintenance shop anywhere?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, when they're brand new, they've just been installed. You haven't had a chance to make coffee yet.
True. And then everybody's bitching because coffee doesn't taste right.
Of course not.
Oh my God! I remember when the Secretary of the Sheriff's Office cleaned out the chief's mug, Chief Matter's mug.
Yeah.
He likes his coffee strong, black, period.
Yeah.
So he had a nice patina built up inside his mug. And apparently it geeked out one of the secretaries. So she grabbed it and said, "You want some coffee, Chief?" And he said, "Of course." And she went and scrubbed it out. She brought back, he's looking and said, "This is my cup." Yeah, I'll wash it for you. And it's like shock and awe. Horror even.
What happens when two coffee makers come online together? Somebody is pissed because they could not get coffee until both of them came online. That's why you never, ever, ever start both of them at the same time. And then, of course, the standing rule of Navy Marine Corps, last person that takes a cup makes a pot.
Mm-hmm.
And I have seen the Admiral take the last pot prior to the staff meeting, and the staff meeting get delayed until he made a fresh pot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's standing there going, "Tell him I'm going to be late because I got to make a pot." Because he wasn't going to hand it off. He did it himself.
That's with Army and Sheriff's offices. As long as you start the coffee, you can go to your meeting. You pour the water in and push the button, put the pot under the spout, and go.
Yeah. Well, he had to dump the coffee grounds first.
Oh, gotcha. I love those prepackaged coffee in a sock it's not a sock. You just throw it in the coffee maker and you can throw the whole thing away. I love those things. Crap coffee, but easy to make.
In the Navy, occasionally it was the athletic sock.
I have seen coffee made in a wool Army sock.
Yeah.
I've made coffee in a wool Army sock.
What's bad is you go to the mess hall and you've got all these burners and all these 10-gallon pans sitting on them, and they're all black and they got dippers in them, and they're just dumping coffee loose into these things.
Yeah.
Best Army coffee I ever had was they got the wash tub boiling
Yeah.
full of water boiling, threw in the water, timed it, and then poured cold water to dry
Yeah.
it, and then scooped into the silver bullet from the
Yeah.
top of the.
Mhm.
Didn't have a ground one in there. Some of the best coffee I ever had.
And
We-
the thing about it is, when they were making it like this, and I'm talking about a room the size of the blanket fort.
Yeah.
With nothing but these pans of coffee
Yeah.
cooking. And they couldn't keep them full.
Yeah. Oh no.
No,
Oh.
once Cookie brings out the silver bullet in the field,
Yeah.
he's already making the second and
Yeah.
third because I don't know about the new modern army, but in the 1980s army, as soon as that silver bullet hit the white table, there.
Yeah. Well, since we're just about out of time, I want to say we've got 2 books that y'all need to get. One is, of course, by Dave Freer,
Storm Dragon.
Storm Dragon. It is still trending very highly. I think it's still
Yeah.
number one.
Yes, still doing good. So we're very excited. I've been starting to see pictures. People, a lot of people have been buying paperback copies, which doesn't surprise
Yeah.
me because most of them are going to be given kids,
Yeah.
and paperback tends to be more spam risk. So I love seeing the paperback copy, the photos of those. So please, if you guys do that, share it with us because we love seeing that. The other thing is Dave got hit right out of the box with a couple of 1-star ratings.
Yeah.
So if you guys have read this book, please review it.
Yeah.
We would like to counterbalance the haters.
Yes.
And we know where they came from. They
We
didn't
know-
leave reviews.
We know which,
but,
at least one of them. We know
Yeah.
exactly who it is.
but yeah, so please review Dave's book.
Yeah. And Alma Boykin just came out with Gulls, Ghosts, and Skeps, which is a Familiar Generations book, book 8. For something that was going to be a 3-book series, that one certainly has
Book
taken
8
off.
of the trilogy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm having fun because I realized that I hadn't read the last couple. I had bought them and then just got busy and they were sitting in the TBR. And so I'm like, oh, what the heck? I'll go back and start reading from the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's been what I've been doing. And anything Alma puts out is good stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing that's jarring to me is I've read a lot of her novels set in the familiar world.
Yeah.
When I get to one of the short story ones, it's we're changing. Oh, it's a horse now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a fish now.
Yeah.
By the way, there was no fish familiar in these books.
Yeah. This series, yes.
But there were honeybee familiars.
Well,
Also,
they weren't technically familiars.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
also Friday, Magic Malfunction on Friday,
Magic
right?
Malfunction comes out Friday.
Our own Wally, who also
So-
has a novel coming out. And if you're interested, if you think you might be interested in his novel, he has short stories in some of our anthologies from his world that
Including one in Magic Malfunction.
Yeah.
So, yes, the one in Magic Malfunction is the same world as his novel. The novel is Overture of Shadow, and we will be promoting that shortly because it's coming out.
we're already promoting. I just did.
Yeah, I know.
I just did.
Well, I mean, yes, but I'm telling its name.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Rick says bees are friends, not familiars. Familiars live to annoy. Yes.
So you met a bee?
And John David Martin says he needs to talk to you about a cover.
Okay, send me an email if
Yeah.
you haven't already, and I didn't lose it. I'm sorry.
And
yeah.
next Tuesday we will have a special guest. God willing, and the creek don't rise.
Next Friday, this is Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
All right, this Friday, Tuesday. For not this Friday, but next Friday I won't be here.
Yeah.
So
We don't do one on Friday anyway.
We do Thursday.
bugger. Disregard. I'm sleepy. I'm exhausted. Leave me alone. I'm tired.
And on that note, folks, we're going to call it a day because we're all
A
a little
sleepy.
punch drunk.
Paunchy.
Thank you for hanging with us. We cannot get over 20 likes for some reason. I don't know
No,
why.
no, we can't. They hate our guts.
Yeah.
They get on here just to thumb their noses at us and refuse to click the button. Don't know what else we have to do.
Yeah.
Get Kelly Grace on here to do a shimmy dance
Oh,
on the
God,
table.
No, no, no.
Because he
no.
will.
No. I would not even wish that on the chat.
Well,
But I've seen him do that.
As long as I'm not here and not watching that day, have Kelly come on here and do a strip.
Shimmy dance.
Have you seen Kelly do the ninja costume thing?
Yeah, no. Remember, folks, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff.
Y'all be
We'll
careful.
see you Thursday. Bye.
I said, as long as